Adrian.
Percival. My God, look at you. You're an old man now.
You're no hassling yourself anymore, Major. Our friend here showed me your sample. Suffice it to say...
Not here. Let's talk somewhere more private. Lou said we could use the back. Lou gave me the abridged version of what went down. Yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking care of all that.
Makes two of us.
I hope it ultimately didn't end up being too much trouble. Well, that's certainly not what I was expecting you'd have to go through. But thank you. I'm just glad you both came through intact. So, were you two able to get that workup together?
Got it right here. That sample? It's an exact match for the ones from Londinian.
Londinian. That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Not thrilled to be the bearer of that kind of news. That's for damn sure. So tell me you've got some kind of plan for that workup.
Well, right now, we've got more questions than answers. So I've been trying to figure out what it's gonna take to access our old Terramorph data.
Good place to start. What'd you find?
It's in the archives.
The Armistice Archives? Doesn't that mean we'd be dealing with the Cabinet? And the Freestar Collective? And House Va'ruun somehow? Guess we can kiss that approach goodbye.
I didn't think the Cabinet would be willing to hear us out either. But I called in some favors. They've agreed to hear us out on two conditions. One, they want to see this analysis you two have procured. And two, they want to discuss what happened on Tau Ceti. With both of us. Well, when the Colony War came to a close 19 years ago, with the signing of the Armistice, 3 factions were involved in the negotiations. The UC, Freestar, and House Va'ruun. They made a lot of decisions about what sort of tactics should and shouldn't be permitted in future conflicts. All information related to the things they decided should be banned was locked away in the archives. Now, it's possible to get things out of there, but only with the agreement of members from all 3 factions. And as to what our research is doing in there, well, I'll get to that. The Cabinet's the UC's highest governing body. The President, top military brass, scientific and diplomatic division heads. Any major decision the UC makes goes through them. They're the only real chance we've got of unlocking the archives. So without their blessing, we're flying blind. Well, that's about the best news I've had all day. But before you commit, I want to make sure you know the whole story. Percival and I, we're not just researchers. We were military scientists, ran a division of the UC together that deployed aliens on the battlefield as weapons.
Place I was hiding out. That was our unit's home base.
After some early fits and starts at other facilities, the place eventually became the heart of UC xeno-warfare. A practice that's been banned ever since the Armistice went into effect almost 20 years ago. And the UC military cut us loose for what we'd done. Oh, you already knew. I'm sorry about that. It didn't seem relevant in the moment, and well, it's not something I'm exactly proud of. But it was during that assignment that the UC asked us to explore deploying terramorphs on the battlefield. The project never got off the ground, but the data our team gathered is now sitting in the archives, along with all the other information banned after the Colony War. Under the watchful eye of monitors from all the galactic factions still participating in regular politics. But if we can convince the Cabinet to help us access that data, It'll give us the tools we need to decipher what exactly this sample might mean. And hopefully, how to prevent more attacks like the one that spawned it. I mean, I hope they will, given the evidence we've acquired. But getting the Freestar Collective and House Varun on our side, that won't be easy.
Since neither group is exactly on great terms with the UC at the moment, for various reasons.
Exactly. It's going to mean negotiations and deals and plenty of diplomatic legwork to see this through. But I don't see a better option to solving what's going on here. So it's gonna be up to us to get them on board. All right. I'm gonna go get this work up into the cabinet's hands. I'll meet you out front of Mast in New Atlantis.
Good luck. You two are gonna need it.
Is it really necessary for you to drag around all that gear?
The city of Sidonia recommends checking your filtration system every 2 weeks for old, faulty, or improperly fitted filters. Martian dust is a leading cause of respiratory illness. Remember, keep it breathing so you don't get wheezy.
Not a lot of folks would have stuck their necks out for a stranger.
Deluxe condos aren't anything special, but plenty of people call them home. When confronted with evidence.
Lifting off now.
How you doing, sweetie?
Well, okay. But I'd be a lot better if... Apogee kick complete. Orbit steady.
Let me guess, you'd be a lot better if you had a bigger book allowance.
You know me so well, Dad. So, what do you say?
Let's see what there is to see.
Be advised, you are entering United Colony space. Please maintain course and prepare to be scanned. Scan
Painful memories or not, it's good to be home.
You will be scanned as you enter the city.
If you want help, I'm here.
Captain! Over here! The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus, woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin, a title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come. I'm the last. A few of my siblings, they passed when we were young. Training accidents and the like. But most of the rest were deployed to the front lines during the Colony War, and they never came back. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what the world would look like with them still in it. He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death, on both sides. Freestar Collective, and UC. Military, and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned. He had his men open fire on civilian ships during the Battle of Cheyenne. A battle that he ultimately ended up losing anyway, devastating the UC fleet and bringing the Colony War to an ugly end for the UC. But he's also the one who ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport during their outbreak, condemning countless lives. Both sides agreed the settled systems would be better without him. I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here. It's hard to know exactly what might sway them. I'd just be honest about what you saw. A colony wiped out, and a lot of lives lost. Something we don't want anyone else to have to experience. That's actually a souvenir from my time on Mars. The Red Devils unit I was a part of, they were founded by recruits who'd worked some of Mars' deepest mines. Folks used to adversity. The dust at those depths, it seeps into everything. The human eye included. Where the name Red Devils came from in the first place. It became an unwritten rite of passage that anyone wanting to enlist with the Devils had to do a stint in the mines before they could join up. The Devils were always talked about in such revered tones during my training, so as soon as I was old enough, I signed up. And the eyes were my parting gift. Eye strain from the amount of reading I've got on the horizon if we succeed. The Terramorph project never went anywhere. It couldn't. They're deadly creatures, but they aren't xenoweapons. The cabinet not opening the archives is probably a bigger risk than them handing over the files. That data itself isn't dangerous, which probably wouldn't be a bad point for us to bring up, should the opportunity arise. I mean, we never spent a lot of time together. He was too busy being Fleet Admiral to deal with kids. I was raised by a pair of guardians instead. Until his defeat during the Colony War, though, he was known as an extremely effective commander. Savvy, perceptive. That mind opened a lot of doors for him. And for me too. But Ve Victus, for all his ability, was heartless. Ruthless to a fault. In the end, that's what cost him his life. Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Sounds like our cue. Here we go. Ah, Captain. Congratulations on joining the ranks of the Vanguard.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor. All knowledge related to the technologies banned by the UC and the Freestar Collective after the Colony War resides in the archives, including the aforementioned Terramorph data you and Hadrian are after. I want to know what you, someone with less direct involvement in the Armistice, sees as the purpose behind granting said access. That is something to consider. Though we also have to take into account the nature of the data you require.
Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties, Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
That is worth considering. This attack took place on an almost completely uninhabited world. The casualties were minimal as a result. But if there's another attack, will we be so lucky?
Yes, a fine point, Admiral. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
I'm uncomfortable opening the archives without gathering more information. However, if that's the path forward you prefer, then so be it.
I'm inclined to agree.
As am I.
I suppose that does get to the heart of the point, doesn't it? Very well. I consent. The galaxy was lucky you were here today, Captain.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to... What was that?
Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been...
Ah, welcome.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how... So now, we have access to a request. Now, Captain, perhaps you could... All knowledge relate, including the... I want to know what you...
Madam President, while no one would... They've been happening to demand. Seems at best.
I would remind the chief... I would also...
Because if
Let's keep this simple. And while there should... Chief Yassine has a point. I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain.
That is worth considering. But if there's another...
So then, Captain.
Agreed. We collect as much data as we can, then, when cooler heads prevail,
we make an informed decision.
Yes, given what we've heard, I find myself in agreement, Captain.
No, the captain is precisely right. We could hardly be expected to make a galaxy-affecting decision on such scant evidence.
Yes, a fair assessment, Chief Diplomat. So then, while the data you two have presented is compelling, I think we can safely say it's insufficient for the level of action you've requested. Perhaps once we've...
An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport. Terramorphs.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Damn it. They're here. Now.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming, and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down there.
Okay, that's it. I'm just gonna see you
Please!
What
Do
are you
something!
doing? EM fire, Captain!
Stun them! Do it now!
God you got here when you did. I just wish it hadn't come to that.
Yeah, what the hell happened back there, Captain? There's no excuse for using lethal force here. Sorry doesn't bring these people back. A crisis isn't licensed to cast aside your morals. Understand? Now, officer, the way those people were acting, I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control, turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire, and keep that EM weapon at the ready. I honestly was just wondering the same thing. But no, you don't need to worry about me. I've had a terramorph try it on me before. I'm not susceptible. So we'll just have to make sure to watch out for each other down there. I'm not suggesting. It's documented behavior. The result of the projection, though, can vary wildly. And those cases, you'll either need... Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
Captain, stash the EM and pull some firepower. Let's move!
An evacuation order has been issued for the spaceport district. All citizens are required to proceed to the nearest shelter.
It's not real.
Come on, backup! Don't just stand there! Good!
Whatever you're experiencing right now, it's not real. We have to put down that morph.
Take whatever we can get right now. We've got the remaining creatures locked down on the landing pad, barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before. Well, got one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more of my men. Put those things down and do it fast. Hold them as best we can.
Nice work, Captain.
It's over. Thank God. If these things reached the populated areas of the city, we would have had an absolute massacre on our hands.
Guess they weren't kidding about you two. Universe put the right people in the right place. Certainly doesn't feel like it.
I don't want to think what would have happened if you two hadn't been here.
Just glad we could rise to the occasion. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the Terramorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Nothing's getting to the cabinet.
That's a relief to hear. Thank you, gentlemen. Let your people all know how much we owe them today.
Heroes from
Captain? Hadrian? It would appear that the cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today. As well as an apology. Your concerns about the Terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, after today's events, the Cabinet has decided to revisit its previous decision. We will be supporting your collection of the Terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the Cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed, first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Va'ruun to play ball. Someone who knows precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The Cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative. The Cabinet wants progress, and wants it quickly. You're already far more familiar with the situation than any diplomat would be. There's also no diplomat alive that can claim they helped keep a cadre of Terramorphs off the embassy doorsteps. The Cabinet was unanimous. They want you. We do. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data. So, will you help us? It has its perks. Only citizens can purchase property in the city. We also pay reduced prices on most goods and services across the UC. There's also a credit disbursement when you first join. Help get you on your feet, but above all, you'd become a dedicated part of the greatest faction in the galaxy. If you're willing to help us, we can open that door. I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. You're dismissed.
I can help you. Just sit in.
I'm gonna go check in with Chief Engineer Kulkarni. Start getting a plan together for that data.
The things we do here, the tech we develop, benefits all of humanity.